Hi, and welcome to another episode of Anecdotal Gleeks to Zoo School Logs. This show is dedicated to a few things. Number one, my experiences in the New York City DOE system as a teacher, working at Urban Assembly School for Wildlife Conservation. If you know the format of the show, you know every other episode we focus on a specific content that has to do with the New York City DOE and this school, Urban Assembly. And between those episodes, we have anecdotal logs, which are direct readings from Scheduler or IO Classroom, from the behavior anecdotals or reports. And these reports show that the New York City DOE and this school was skewing data, not officially reporting things into the ORS report system, and not officially suspending students. If thousands of reports on Scheduler for the 3 years that I was there, talking about teachers being assaulted, students fighting other students, students bullying students, and weapons being confiscated. All these reports were purged from the Scheduler IO Classroom the second Matthew McCree was murdered by Abel. I have the reports up to September something. We'll get into details there. Because basically I have enough information to make 1,000 episodes in the end of my lifespan. Alright. Today's episode is only focused on students that took the New York State Regents, the Living Environment, in June 2014 and was never accredited for or their test exams scored. I don't know why, but it was labeled A, the students tests were missing, and B, they were absent. 1, they were not absent. 2, I found the test in June 2015. When I found the bubble sheets as I was cleaning my room, I didn't realize what year it was. I thought it was currently from the week that just passed. So I went to the packing room to double check, and I saw all the exams were packed. I asked Miss G, that was packing everything, "Are you missing any exams?" She stated to me, "No, Chris Vasquez, we're not. We have everything." I said, "Do you need help?" "No." So I went back to my room. I took half of the bubble Scantrons, not the narrow ones. I'm talking about the actual New York State Regent ones that has the student's name, where they sign at, and all the bubbles. I took half of them and I hid them. The other half, I went to Daniel Pichardo and I gave it to him. I said, "Daniel Pichardo, I found these Regences in my room when I was cleaning. Look, none of them been graded." He said, "All right, I'll look into it." I said, "No problem." He took the exams. Then I started investigating because I'm the sniffer on my own. Each of the students, there was about 15 that I found, their test sheets, I talked to on the side. And I said, I didn't let them know I had this, so I knew. I said, "Did you take the Regents? This Regents, the Living Environment, this last year?" "Yeah, I did, mister." It's like, why you didn't get a score?" "Oh, they said they lost it." I said, "Oh, okay." "Hey, you was absent that day," to other students, and they said, "Yeah, no, I wasn't, but that's weird. It says that on my schedule." I was like, "Okay." So as I was doing this, more and more students were catching wind that I was talking and asking. They started to approach me. So yeah, I also have a problem with my transcript. It says I didn't take this Regents when I did. Currently to today, we still have students like that when they're transferring out because they want to have a safety transfer. So the students that were absent, if anyone wants to investigate, this is easy to prove. The students that also were there, that their Regents were missing, you can find that they signed in at 3 different locations. When the students come to Urban Assembly Wildlife School for Conservation, they have to sign in on the 5th floor when they come through the doors by the main office and hand in their phones. After that, they're instructed to go into their testing room. When they go into their testing room, the proctor of that room has them sign in again. And third, on their exam itself, they have to sign. Preventing loss of student answer papers. Each student's answer papers should be checked in before the student leaves the room. Therefore, I know the 2 students that were assigned in that room, and proof that you know who's assigned in that room, because in the New York City DOE servers, the email servers, the principal and the administration blasts all the teachers involved in proctoring the exams. They're given the schedule a week ahead. The 2 individuals in the room were Mr. Roman and Justin Keaton. I know Mr. Roman, he's an on-point guy. Clean cut, always by the book. So I could safely assume that he had everyone sign in. And he had to pack up the exams, or Justin Keaton packed up the exams. In that DOE email, you will also find the names that were packing the exams in the packing room. Isofanos, Bray, Daniel Jury, and there was another teacher. I don't have the email in front of me. When you return the exams, you return them in a sealed packet with the attendance log and all the testing papers. Then you have to sign in. So the individual that signs in states that he returned the exams. So you can see on camera on the 5th floor whoever walked in the exams and whoever returned them signed them in. At that moment, somehow, when they were in that packing room, those individuals are responsible for losing the exams. Or, here's a better scenario. Purposely hid the exams and misplaced the exams because they didn't want to be held accountable, because these 15 students are low-performing students and IEP students. I bet you that individual didn't want to be held accountable and have his rating affected by these individuals because he didn't believe in these individuals. That is the ultimate form of neglect. This neglect is happening across the DOE, and they're not holding administrators accountable for it, or teachers. Neglect is the new form of slavery. Here's another student that was a part of that cohort that their exam was missing. Whoever responsible of the storage, not the individuals that were packing, the administrators, and the administrators include the principal, assistant principal, and the deans. One of these individuals signed off on this sheet right here, the storage certificate. Number 6 on this sheet states that I or one of the professional staff members visually inspected the locked Regents boxes each day to ensure that there was no tampering. They did not lose the Regents at the test site. They lost it in school because I found them in school. It was purposely hidden and lost in school. This person should have had a witch hunt at that very moment, which none was conducted. There's no email trace that anyone mentioning that exams were missing whatsoever. No dialogue whatsoever, because those individuals in the packing room hit them. Maybe there was a collusion also with the individual that signed this off. I've never seen this in person, so I don't know who signed this off. And whoever did sign this off was very careless for not checking in daily, just going off by word. Here's another student that their exam went missing. I was in the middle of filling this out in day 2 when the teacher walked in, saw what I was doing, left, then came back in and said to me, "You know, Mr. Vasquez, not for nothing, but this is your 10th year." I said, "So? What does that have to do with anything?" "You don't want to make too much noise." Again, this individual, he was in cahoots with a Kobo and what was her name? What was his name? Pachado. So I didn't fill this out because, it is my 10th year. And after 3 years of being effective, I was under the impression I was a shoo-in of getting a tenure. Over here was another student, but this student was marked absent. Now here's another thing that goes around in the New York City DOE. Teachers don't want to be held accountable for IEP students or students that they know that are low performing. So what happens is, you will see during the June Regents, a lot of absentees occurs because the teachers are saying to the students, "Don't come in. Take the day off. You're not going to pass, so don't show up." They're still held accountable. So I don't know why they would say that. And you could tell because during these testings, it repeats. The same teacher that always does this, you will see, they will have more than or close to 50% of their students out for the Regents. You can see that from year to year. Safeguarding the materials in each steel box. If you're a teacher or an administrator, you know in the steel box you can't break the lock, and these materials have to be in there. Here's another student that was absent, or told to be absent. Another one told to be absent. This one was another one that was missing. This was for the Living Environment, June 2014. So at this point, Dan Pichardo, a few days later, comes to me and he says, by the way, Mr. Vasquez, we found in your room a poster while your students were taking the Regents. It was an Earth Science layer poster. I said to him, that's weird, because my Regents was on a Wednesday or Thursday. That poster's been in my room since last Friday, so that means you have 4 days of students taking different types of Regencies in my room, and it never occurred to any teacher until now that it was an issue. He said, well, we have to do an investigation. I was like, well, if you're going to do an investigation, and if I'm going to be at fault, and you guys are going to cancel those Regents that they took, those was just L students, about 5 or 7, then every other test that was taken in that room should be held accountable too. I never heard back about that investigation. Safeguarding the examination books, the principal has to sign off. Extreme care must be taken to ensure that all examination materials are in that steel box. That wasn't done at all. Hey! So a few more days later, remember I had that other stack of bubble sheets? Yes. So I called Dan Pichardo into my room and I said, look, I found more. And there was 2 other teachers in the room and 13 students. And he says, let me see. He sees them. And then he starts ripping them into small, tiny pieces. And then he tosses them into the garbage, like so. The teachers were there and the students were there. I could give you a list if there wants to be, anybody wants to investigate. It's no problem. I'll give you the list. It's getting away with murder. Murder. Neglect. They neglect your kids. I tell you this. Now, if you're a student at Urban Assembly Wildlife, if you have any issues with your transcript, missing Regent test scores, please let me know. My email is posted on this. You know my phone number, 347-668-5555. Text me a picture of your transcript, and we'll figure it out. We'll get it fixed. Anybody else? These people were inexperienced, Pichardo and Acobo. Not only did they were in collusion for hiding data and scheduler and not reporting things on ORs, there were also inclusion of getting rid of these tests. That's right. That's wrong. You don't do that. You don't throw away students' exams. These are students. These are IEP students. These are low-performing students. They need all the help they need all the exposure they can get on an exam. So eventually they will pass. It's the law of averages. Eventually, they're going to pass. Maybe not the first time or the second time. But because it was the innate selfishness of a teacher and of your goal to look good as an assistant principal and a principal, you never followed up. You never reported this. And you had a teacher threaten me by saying I didn't have tenure. That was my tenure year. Horrible. Horrible. You neglected these students not only by not keeping them safe, but also neglected them by destroying their tests, by destroying their self-worth every day. Horrible. By the way, I want to make a video on social promotion, so give me a few days for that one. That should be episode 8 or 10. So here's an example of a report card, progress report from our school. As you see the date, it's in June. I have these for all the middle school and the high school for the 3 years I was there. I have about 500 of these for different students and situations. This goes to show you that social promotion does occur. It does occur every day in the New York City DOE. This is one school. Imagine other schools. No classes passed, but gym and lunch. The student was able to be promoted. In other situations, students were given credit. I don't know. What's going on? Why are these people still in the New York City DOE? I don't know. We can't call the CSA because they protect. Who do we call? Who do parents call? Imagine if these parents were affluent, if they were around. There's only a 5%, 10% parents that are actively engaged with these students' lives and coursework. But imagine if this was like an all Caucasian Blanquito school. None of this would ever fly by. None of it. Murder, neglect. Neglect is the new form of slavery. The New York City DOE system has a saying, and I learned this the hard way. We don't focus on quality here. We focus on numbers, quantity. Have a good night. Tune in a few days for the next episode.